And I just was waiting for the go ahead from the big boss. And of
Right.
course, after a while, exactly what you described happened to me. Became a little bit cynical, started to blame management that they don't get it, and whining about this. And then the minute I became successful was when I stopped doing that.
Right.
And you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I just started doing it. I mean, literally. So the thing I was waiting
Right.
for, I just started doing it. And next thing what happened, and this is, I think, is really important for people to realize.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that happened is that managers started complimenting me for taking action.
There
So
you go.
instead of the thing I feared, which was they're going to stop me, they're going to tell me not to do this, they're going to tell me, who are
Right.
you to start this, and
Right.
without asking me for permission, they were actually waiting for somebody to just step up and get after it already, because that signaled that you actually believed in what you were doing, and that was enough to get the permission anyway.
Right. Right. And I think it goes to impression too. I mean, if we can just start with when you're speaking to people that you need something from, whether you need them to change, whether you need them to shift, whether you need them to buy from you. So here, like, my friend Victor's on here from Los Angeles. He's got nothing to do with Agile, but really Agile is about, and you'll appreciate this, Victor, because you're trying to run a business. You're trying to run like 6 businesses at the same time. And one of the things that Agile deals with, even if you're not in tech, I mean, if I had to summarize Agile in a sentence for those of you who are not Agile oriented, it would be the difference between Windows 95 and then Windows 98 was like software used to be a 3-year rollout in order to deliver something new. Now Instagram releases every week. We're connected. It's easy to push the updates out. It's just changing our mindset about how we package up things, really, and deliver value sooner. The premise
Mm-hmm.
being that if you put it in people's hands, they'll tell you if it's right or not. So what that means is we no longer seek consensus in the upfront before we build, and that's scary to most people. That's difficult, or it's at very least it's change. So what you just said is that you started doing, and you noticed that people kind of followed your lead by default. Welcome everybody. I see Mark has joined. I saw Yair joined. I see Lex has joined.
Mm.
Everyone who's joining on Instagram, welcome. Good to
Yes.
see you. Throw down your comments. And so, if we can only start in one place, if we don't have the courage yet to simply stop asking people permission to say what we want, Victor saying mindset is everything, and that value changes. If there's one change you can make today, it's stop using the word maybe, kinda, sorta, those things in your speech. Right. So, as a leader, if you're sitting there trying to move people, the first step is to stop being tentative with your own language. So stop saying, maybe we could consider, and I wonder if we could think about, and wouldn't it be great if someone would allow us to, and could we ask people if? Those kinds of things, we got to stop. And once you take that out of your lexicon, it becomes much easier then to have courageous conversations and stop asking, can I? Should I? What do you want me to do here? In my experience, if you run a business, people are counting on you to solve problems and to know what to do. So in order to get practice and get comfortable with that, you got to get out there and tell people what you want. Tell people what you think.
I
Lawrence,
think
what?
though,
Go ahead.
I think though that most people, of course, do not run, in fact, a business, right? So they work in a business, they work with
Yeah.
leadership, they work with
Yeah.
others,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's where the problem starts, because then you're not used to just getting after it, because most of us have been taught and trained, and probably even really trained with a little bit of trauma, even
Yeah.
by some dominant managers who didn't like us to take initiative,
Right.
that taking initiative is dangerous. And of
Yeah.
course, the real lesson there was at no point, whenever I took initiative, I've never been fired for it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
there's no real danger. But the danger of it being frowned upon is
Yeah.
apparently enough for you to
Mm-hmm.
stop in your tracks and then
Mm-hmm.
to learn that you're not going to do that. And
Right.
we need to unlearn that real quick.
Yeah, I agree. You brought up something really important there. The fear comes from the risk. What if I put something out there and it's wrong? So if you're an employee, you put something out there and it's wrong, it could mean your job, your reputation, and so on. As an entrepreneur, you put something out there, people don't buy it, big deal. Move on to something else. So what do we make of that challenge inside of an organization? Well, if you have people saying, I can't not ask for permission because I don't want to be the person who signs the paper or makes the call that sinks the boat. That's natural. But Agile has built into it the ability to minimize or reduce the cost of risk and failure. How? We go a week, we go 2 weeks, we deliver things. That's where your consensus happens. So all I'm
Mm.
asking you to do is to move the risk ahead a week or two at most, right? So instead of saying let's plan, let's get 100 signatures on our business requirements document or our objectives. Let's get permission for what we're about to do using digital signatures and voting buttons. Why don't we just do something as a team? Start acting,
You
start
said
moving
the
towards a
magic word
solution.
though there for a
Which
minute.
one? Voting buttons?
You, no. You said consensus, and
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I think that that's the wrong word. Of course,
Oh,
this is nitpicking over words, so we're probably going to have a session about that too shortly.
yeah.
But
Yeah, we are.
that said, consensus, I think is the wrong word. I think consent is better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a subtle difference, but it's major in a sense that with consensus building, you all want to agree, right? And whereas
Right.
consent is because we agree that this is safe to try.
Right.
In other words, I might not really agree, but I agree that it's safe to try. So let's just go do this. And that I think is the thing that you could actually ask for permission for, but then not permission. You just ask, this is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm going to do it. Do you think it's safe to try?
Let
And
me
when
give
the
you
answer is yes, go do it.
I'll give you a distinguishing. I want to hang on to the consensus thing a bit because it actually ruins a lot of big teams. Consent means somebody gives us permission and says, yes, go ahead. Right? Consent means permission. Consensus is different. When working in big teams, you will almost always have a flock of stakeholders. So you're going to have one person who's a product owner, but they've got to please 9 people, and they're all going to be on those calls, and they're all going to be on steering committees. They're all going to be on, somehow they're going to be looking at what you're doing. And consensus is the problem that happens when you ask for permission. One person says, yeah, I'm cool with it. No, I'm not cool with it. And then a whole bunch of other people chime in. And now your job is to try to sway a majority, and it becomes a campaign like you're running for president. That's where all the waste is in big organizations. One people to get consent. Yeah, you know what? I can find the cowboy in the org, and I can get them at manager level because they're installed in the organization. You can't just do whatever you want. You need a confederate. You need a pal. You need a buddy who's got your back inside the org. That's easier to find. What's really, really hard to find is consensus amidst a group of stakeholders or a team. So permission asking to me includes trying to get everyone to agree before you move forward. And so sometimes when you're stuck in consensus loops, it's easier, and I've done this before, and it always goes badly. It's like, here's what a finished product could look like. I understand where you're all trying to go. Let me show you what I've seen before. Here's what a blank could look like. It could be a beta landing page. It could be anything. It could be a new process that the company's looking to build. You put it in their laps, and they're like, well, who said you could do this? It's like, look, I'm not asking you to put this out to market. I'm just trying to move us forward and say, can we agree that we want to build something like this so that we can all go back to our corners? And instead of focusing on building yeses, let's focus on building value. That's what you want to get to. If you want to eliminate waste, get your team focused on building value, not agreement. To me, that all falls under permission building. What do you think?
Well, I agree. And actually, I think there's a real risk in doing permission building, overdoing it. It's really easy to overdo it. And before you know it, you ask permission. And the same thing happens with negative feedback. You always zoom in on the negatives, right? So even if 9 out of 10 people say it's an awesome idea, let's go do this.
Right.
Before you know it, you let yourself be stopped with maybe what's going to be an awesome idea because one of them said no. One of them said, no, I think it's a stupid idea. Let's not do that. Or maybe even more forcefully. And if you let that happen, you just invite yourself for an organizational freeze because there's always someone on the team who doesn't agree.
You've got it. Let's see here. Victor's saying he is dropping. No, we're dropping knowledge, I presume. Unless you're dropping some knowledge, Victor. Go ahead and drop some knowledge. But thank you, brother, for watching and for contributing. Let me ask you this, Lawrence. How do we get used to not asking permission? How do we get better at this? Because this is a courage play, straight up. In all cases, we need to get better at it. How do we do that?
I'm gonna go straight up Jocko Willink on you there and just do it. I mean, seriously, just don't stop asking permission. Start small, of course, because that's the whole thing in Agile, right? De-risk this by making it smaller, but especially the small thing because it's a habit. It's something I was so well educated by my parents. I asked permission for like the stupidest things. In school, for example, you're taught to ask permission to go to the toilet, which doesn't make
Yeah.
sense at all. Why would you have to? I mean, just go already. And this, but
Yeah.
we do the same thing in companies, right? So we're taught that that's good behavior. And
Right.
from a command and control perspective, it is, but actually it isn't,
Right.
because if you ask permission, it better be something earth-shatteringly important and big, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm going to essentially invest half the company's worth in something new and untested, it's
Yep.
probably good I ask a few people, right?
Yep.
So do you think this is also a really wonderful idea? That's actually where consensus or consent building, or what you want to call it, makes sense. If you're not betting the company, if it's arguably a small decision, just do it, because it's better to do it and then ask for forgiveness if it turns out to be a stupid idea, because
Yeah.
chances are the thing you've done, it's actually worth the investment of learning that that was a stupid idea.
Right. I got a pro tip to add. I think when it comes to permission thinking, asking for permission is not an act. It's a belief system. I call it employee thinking. Now, if you're an employee, don't take offense to that. But the truth is this: if you're always asking for permission, you're acting like an employee, not like an owner. If you want to add massive value, get recognized in an organization, look, I'll be straight up. If you want the promotions, the bonuses, the pay raises, the recognition, and or if you want to make impact. So, the holy five, those are the things that people tend to want out of their jobs. Either I'm making tons of impact or I'm getting rewarded for my hard work. If you want those things, you got to stop thinking like people design your day. You need to believe that you are as much an owner of the business as the actual owner is, which means you need to see problems as your duty to solve. You need to see challenges as your duty to tackle. You need to see vision statements as yours to champion, to chair, and to do battle for.
You know what?
If, yeah,
When you start talking like that, when you start talking like the owner, you
right.
know who's going to listen?
The owner.
The owner. Yeah, exactly. You're talking the same language. And now
Exactly.
the owner has a buddy. The owner knows, so you know what I'm talking about. You're talking as if this is your company. I was looking for
Mm-hmm.
somebody like that because, of course, owners don't really get that either, right? So they're always talking to me and to other agile coaches. Like, my people just don't seem to get it. And they're not acting like they're an owner. And that's because they aren't, right? So that makes sense. However, if you ever want to become an owner, if you ever want to really succeed and make impact, start talking like one and start
That's right.
acting like one, not just talking, start acting like one.
So it starts with the mindset. Would you agree? The first thing you have to do is act like an owner, not like an employee.
Yes.
Part of it is like not only owning the vision and the outcome, but it's like nobody owns my day. Nobody tells me what to do with my time. I'm an autonomous, sovereign, free person. I do as I like. So if there's meetings that people are inviting you to and saying you must be there, great, show up. But if you're not adding value and the thing's not adding value to you, drop off. Like read, really inspiring read is Tesla, the organization. They have a policy manual that Elon Musk designed around meetings. And it's like, if you're not adding value or getting value, get out of the meeting. You're setting company money on fire. So we have all of these people. Keep in mind, CEOs are not walking around checking what you do with your time. It's managers that tend to do that. And they believe that if you're not present in the meeting, you're not contributing. You're probably behaving badly. That's hall monitor mindset. That's employee thinking. Stop doing that first and foremost. You decide how you use your time. You decide when you go into a meeting what would make this valuable. And if it's not adding value, say, guys, I don't think I have a place in this meeting. I don't think this is the best use of my time, or find a nicer way to say it if you must, but get the hell out of the meeting and go do the meaningful work that you want to do. Because I know a lot of people, most of the people I know, who when you say, hey, do you have 10 minutes to catch up and just talk about what are some of your experiences? It's, because everything I do is sales. So when I talk to people in big organizations, I say, I just love to share experiences with you and see what you're experiencing right now, because that's how I create opportunities. I get the same answer every time. Guess what it is?
Yeah, sure.
No, can't. Book solid, back to back. I hear it every
Even the
single
10
day.
minutes.
10 minutes,
Ooh.
10 minutes, right? And If you book, I've noticed something. If you book a 1 hour meeting, it will go to an hour. Even if you were finished at like 20 minutes before the hour, people will just feel like they need to keep talking and talking to fill it up. That's where most of the problems tend to originate from. So the first thing is recognize, yes, you're an employee. Yes, you get a paycheck to do a job. But that doesn't mean someone gets to dictate how you use your time or what you do. The value that you add is up to you. If the company doesn't see value in what you do, you're not doing anything wrong. You are working for the wrong company. And there's
Hmm.
a huge difference. I often say if I do my job well, people quit because they realize that their values aren't aligned to the company's values. And it doesn't matter how hard you try, you're not going to make them happy, and they're definitely not going to make you happy. So get out and find a place that gets you. That applies to customers, that applies to companies. If you take that small snippet of advice, your life improves 5x immediately because you're working with people who love you, people who believe in your products, people who, if I release a new thing tomorrow, they'll buy it for sure because they love what you do. They believe in your work. So start by shifting your mindset. You're not an employee. You're a value creator. You're an asset
Hmm.
to the organization. And if you spend all of your day in meetings listening to people talk, where are you spending time creating value? Where's the deliverable? Where's the prototype? The draft? Where's the contract? Where's the agreement? Where's the done stuff that we need to get to? Lawrence, I'll let you chip in.
Well, for me, it sounds very similar to something I always teach people that I consult with. It's that it's really important to notice that when the day starts feeling like a fight, and it's like you're feeling overloaded, overwhelmed,
Yeah.
indeed, like my calendar is chock full of all kinds of nonsense, and you're not feeling in control. First, check, who am I fighting against? If it's
Mm-hmm.
you, you're growing. There's something to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
move on, improve.
You
However,
got it.
more often than not, you'll find I'm fighting the organization. I'm fighting someone else. Then have a conversation around that you're going to change that. So not ask permission to change, just change.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't work, get out. So it's a stepped approach. So I'm not saying get out immediately. So you're in the wrong organization, but honestly try to change it by saying this isn't work for me. This is not me. This is just sapping my energy. I think we should do this, and therefore I am going to do it. Now, if then somebody says no, but you have to do it this way, leave.
Right.
Don't even have the rest of the conversation.
Right. I mean, I meet gatekeepers all the time. You know, Victor commented, just ask for what you want. Sometimes you ask for what you want, you have people telling you why you can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
People who are, you know, that manager level, and you can tell they're trying to protect or trying to enhance their own careers. They're not after what's right for the team. They're not after what's right in terms of outcome. All they're thinking about is what can I get? What can I preserve? So if you listen to my work on vision and service, you'll know that the easiest way to get ahead is to always be thinking, what can I give? If you're thinking about what am I going to get? What are the optics? If Lawrence goes to my boss and speaks to them directly, what will that mean for me? What might they talk about? What opportunities might they forge with each other that I'll be left out of? If that's how you think, get out the way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you meet people who think like that, you're going to have to either speak to them directly. So I had this exact situation and say, look, I'm a vendor. I'm being measured by the people who sign my checks. It doesn't make any sense for me to not have direct communication with them because how else am I going to get feedback on the value I'm dropping in their hands every week? If I don't know how they feel about my work, I can't improve, I can't change, and I can't over deliver. Yes. So I need to hear that from them. And you transcribing it, translating it, sending it by email will not work. I need an eye to eye direct conversation. I need to hear them answer my question. Did I over deliver for you this week? And if not, why not? What can I change to make it better now? So it starts there. So go and ask for what you want. I don't know any customer who, if you say, would it be okay if we spent 15 minutes a week understanding how I'm over delivering for you, understanding how I'm showing up for you, understanding if you feel like I'm crushing it for you? I don't know any executive who'd be like, nah, I'd rather just, I don't know. I'd rather just leave it to the gatekeeper to, send it to you in an email. I don't know a single person who wouldn't be interested in being able to give you direct feedback. So if you're not getting it, go ask for it. That to me is the beginning, the opening of not asking for permission. And it's completely contrary to how large organizations think. Why does this matter? Because most of the agile jobs you're going to see posted by recruiters, posted wherever you go looking for jobs, guess who they're for? Big organizations. Banks, insurance companies, government, big education, big retail, big oil and gas, those kinds of telco, always big organizations with tons of bureaucracy. So the reason why this topic is so important is because permission culture is pervasive in 95% of the agile contracts that you're going to see or get, or jobs.
And
Lawrence,
therefore, it's 95% of the job, right? I mean, that's the main thing.
You got it.
If you can't get this right, all the rest, all the techniques, all the frameworks, whether you're doing Scrum or Kanban, really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
If you ask for permission all the time, nothing will change. And
That's
if you're
right.
a change agent, that's bad.
It is. And I would go so far as to say that for those of you who are obsessing over, am I doing Kanban right? Like every conversation I hear about Agile, is where can I lean into the processes and the tools more to get better results? Even though the manifesto clearly declares that it's about people over tools and processes, we hear it, we repeat it, but we don't do it. You know how I know? Go on the boards, go into any Clubhouse group, go into any Agile discussion, watch any Agile podcast or video, and you will see people say, well, all you need to do is just divide up your swim lanes a little bit differently or set your whip limit to 3 instead of 4. They're leaning into the process for answers, and the answers are not in the process. The answers are in the way you cowboy up and walk into a room and say, this is what we need to do, and ask for forgiveness later. It's a skill and you got to get good at it. And I hear you all saying, yeah, but, what if I get fired? What if? I feel you. I really do. But I'm here to tell you that if you want to stand out over 95%, 99% of your competition, be that girl, be that guy who knows how to not lean on permission and consensus to get what they want. Lawrence, any closing thoughts?
Well, I think the learning is in the doing here, right? So it's really important to remember. If you want to get better at this, if you want to get better at not asking permission all the time, just stop asking permission and learn from that act. Yep. And it seems like a weird act to not do something, but it's really important to teach yourself that. It's just like not saying sorry all the time. I'm getting there, by the way. But the not asking permission, it's really scary and it's really awesome because that getting over that really makes you just have a bigger impact. If you want to make impact, learn this. Start here.
You got it. Someone on Facebook just commented a little while ago, all meetings must die. I think that's from one of my podcast episodes on all 1 hour meetings must die. It's funny. I used to do lunch learns for a big company and it was one of the topics, but do you think it killed the 1 hour meeting?
Nope.
Hell no. Hell no. It starts by doing differently. It starts by running 15-minute meetings and saying, we're doing this in 15 minutes. What's our intention? What do we want at the end of 15 minutes? And hey, if it's going to take more than 15 minutes, let's focus on the highest priority outcomes rather than extending the meeting to an hour. Because if people feel like they can get an hour, they're going to take it. And I would really rather see people have that time to do the meaningful work, to the brainstorming, the executing, the delivering, the optimizing. All of that stuff needs to happen. And we're not making time for it in the day. So that was a great comment. Thank you for that. And Lawrence, you know what? Let's close it up here. This is, as we mentioned, this is a courage play. This is something that you need to try. And we're so afraid of falling on our asses and not getting it right. You can't worry about that stuff. If you want to get better at not asking for permission, get out there, try it, see what happens. And all it takes is a few small successes, and you'll want to keep doing it and keep doing it. Friends, you can find us at Badass Agile on Instagram. You can go to facebook.com and check out the Badass Agile Listener Lounge. As always, you can go to badassagile.com to listen to the show. Check it out on Shudder as well. Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Clubhouse, wherever you happen to hang out socially. Come see us. We're there. Lawrence, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining with me today. This is a great episode, and I hope this served you guys.
Welcome, Chris.
And that's it for today, guys. We will see you next week at 11. Sharing to Instagram. Oh boy.